your
You guys
places.
ready?
See, I didn't get it.
Do you need me to help on that?
We'll check,
Yeah, I didn't
we'll
get it.
check. We seem to be missing an email with the link, so we'll get that corrected.
You mean the Dropbox link? Is that
For
what
the
you're
for the whole packet.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
We'll get it figured out.
Do you want another packet? Do you need-
No,
oh,
we're good now.
Okay,
And you said you had the agenda.
all right.
I probably should have said something sooner, because I was waiting for it.
Yeah, if you don't have it by Tuesday.
As we're still getting ready here, folks, just as an announcement, we did meet in executive session prior to the start of this meeting. That's why we're running just a little bit late. Sorry, excuse our tardiness. And then, everybody ready? Okay. Officially call to order the College Township Council regular meeting for Thursday, February 1st. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Again, stand and remove your hats. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item of business is public open discussion, and this is for anything that's not included on the agenda this evening. And we would please ask if anyone wants to come up, that we limit the comments to 5 minutes. Is there anyone here for open discussion? Or anyone online? I don't see anyone online, except for John. Okay, moving on. New agenda items. Does any member of council wish to add a de minimis business item to the agenda? Okay. Plans, rolling right along. We'll go into P1, 320 Struble Road Building Addition Final Land Development Plan. And that is at 320 Struble Road, State College, PA, tax parcel 19-04-024E. All right. Lindsay, are you starting this one out?
Yes, I will. We have Mr. Toretti here this evening, but I'll just do a brief introduction. This is the 320 Struble Road Building Addition Land Development Plan. C. Wayne Company LP is proposing a 7,000 square foot addition to their existing 8,000 square foot building. Currently existing on the site, it's a Superfund site. There are 54 parking spaces currently and some, at this point, unnecessary impervious surface. There are existing sidewalks along the front of Struble Road. If you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. This is just an overview of the property from an aerial. Proposed on the site, they're going to remove 19 of the existing 54 parking spaces to leave 35. 12 parking spaces are required per our ordinance. They're also, you can go to the next slide. Whoops, next slide. Thanks. There you go. This is just a view of the entrance, so you can see that they have existing sidewalks. The proposed plan on the next sheet, I believe. This is existing conditions.
Go to the next one.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yep.
So proposed on the next plan, you can see some internal sidewalk connections. They're expanding the warehouse, which, as I noted, this is a Superfund site that is managed by Rucker's niece, and they have a few deed restrictions on the property because it's a Superfund site. So the expansion of this warehouse is within the confinements of that deed restriction. So this is an acceptable use. They are decreasing impervious by 1,900 square feet. Some other information, they want to begin construction in 2024 of the spring, and all comments by staff have been satisfied. The Planning Commission saw this at their last meeting. Some of the comments they discussed were sidewalks, internal, and the ones along Struble. Mr. Toretti explained the better circulation on the site for semi-trucks and noted that this is a distribution center and not for sales or service. not retail or any sales. So that's just a quick overview of the plan, and as I noted, Mr. Toretti's here if you have any.
Yeah, if I may just add a little bit of clarity and a little bit of background with respect to the Superfund site.
Okay.
This was part of the Rutgers Nice property, and many longtime residents will remember, back in the probably late 60s, 70s, Keep-On Myrex issue, and releases that occurred from the Rutgers Nice chemical plant, from their production facility here. Probably 10 years ago, when Rutgers Nice stopped all of their production and activity, it might even have been a little bit longer. The EPA stepped in and basically named this as a Superfund site. And again, the purpose there was to isolate the compounds of the ketone and Myrex. Over time, EPA and working with Rutgers Nice and other consultants were able to do that. The site that has now been approved and authorized by EPA to be developed does in fact contain a number of different deed restrictions. One has to do with the commercial use of property, certain things like that that are very specific to limit kind of a volume of commercial type traffic that you might regularly find at a Walmart or something like that. So there are several restrictions on the site that prevent this from being a particularly high use, but it is suitable for use as an industrial type space. And that has been allowed now for probably close to the last 8, 9, it's been some time. It's been actively engaged in these types of uses that are being represented here. So I did want to give a little bit of clarity and a little bit of context to the fact, yes, this is the site of a former Superfund site. And again, just a little more detail there. There is a section of this property that nothing will ever happen to, that has been fenced off. There's vapor extraction that continues to occur on that site to address those potential residual type chemicals that could be in the ground or possibly, in the ground. And so the processes that are being utilized there will always be in place. So I just want to reassure council and the listening public that this is an appropriate use. This is not an active Superfund site. It had been an active Superfund site, but it has been addressed. And the township is in possession of the documents that release all of that and provide all those details along with the deed restrictions, et cetera. So with that, and without further ado, we'll turn it over to Mark.
Yeah, and I wanted to add what you're saying. When you talk about the Superfund site, that was the whole Rutgers Nice property, not just this site specifically. Some of the things you mentioned really weren't on this site. And this site, I mean, really, I think has always been paved for the longest time. Currently, the tenant that's there is Pierce Phelps. They are a heating and air conditioning unit distributor. Trucks come in and basically bring the units and the equipment to this warehouse, and then from there it is distributed to, I think, other either retailers or to contractors on there. So that's the main gist of the use for this. And really, we lost a lot of parking spaces, but the main thing, which I don't think these work with a screen in front of the addition on the right side of the building, basically lost a lot of parking spaces just to make sure that the trucks can get in, circle around, back up, and then pull out. We still have plenty of parking for what's required for this use, but we wanted to still keep as many as possible for future uses, but able to get that to work with the circulation. So the existing sidewalk, we're already there that we were tying into. And I know Planning Commission asked, more or less the main office of the facility is actually in the existing upper left of the existing building. That's where, you know, the office is for the, for this facility, and this is just a warehouse addition on that.
Okay. All right, council. Questions? You want to start, Eric?
Sure. No sidewalk questions.
Don't worry.
That was a sidewalk question.
But you know there'll be
Some will
some.
come in the future, so don't worry.
No, you know, it's not often we get a redevelopment plan that reduces impervious. You know, mine's a little bit, my concern's a little off the wall. The Struble Road has 5 streetlights from College Avenue up to First Avenue, and 4 of them have been out for years. A few years back, I asked Kent to look into it, and his, what I think he said he found out was the ones that are out, the power is being supplied by the property owner. They're not on the West Penn tariff. One of those streetlights is on this property.
Okay.
So I would ask that my council members would support a condition on any motion to approve, that this get resolved.
Okay, yeah,
If it's a property owner thing, it needs to be a condition of the approval of the land development plan. If it's between the township and West Penn, then we just need to deal with it. But it's at least one of the 4, I'd like to at least get one of the 4 lights fixed out of this opportunity, because people walk up and down that road all day long, both for leisure and connection to the bus stop. And it's real close to the bottom right corner, Mark.
oh, yeah, right there, that's, yeah,
That pole has a street light on it.
yes,
It's the old style street light, and it's been out for years.
okay,
And I think if it was an easy one, I think if it was on the township tariff, Kent would have had it fixed.
yeah, okay,
But I seem to recall there being some issue with the power source coming from on-site.
yeah, I can check into that.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, I'll just go next, you know, just as a follow-up to that, I mean, is it possible just to upgrade it to what we're upgrading it to now? The LED light?
Well, I think you can make that a condition. I think the bigger issue that Eric has addressed is if it's on the tariff, we can control that. If it's not on the tariff,
Tariff, yeah.
it's the responsibility of the.
So even if we were to convert to that, it would involve something with the property owner. Okay. So to me, it doesn't matter as long as it comes on, and if we're going to have to do any work on it, let's bring it up to.
The current standard of township gas is my recommendation or request.
Well, if it's an existing light, it's just gonna be getting the power to it on there. And I have it shown existing on the plan. I think that, I'm surprised that it was an existing street light. I know, like, whenever we did the original, the very first thing we did here was like a cheerleading school, if I recall. And that's shown up as a light fixture from there. So it may have been installed at that point in time. But I can follow up with that, and one way or another, he can get service to that.
It's not traditional in its placement in the sense that the arm is pointing towards the property, not out on the street.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure why it was done that way, but it serves as a street light.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of times we try to get them to serve as both. Some municipalities don't allow you to have the lights at the entrance. They have the same restrictions as everywhere else around the property. We try to get them, when they're allowed, to light the entrance and still get back into the parking area some. But, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem to check into that.
Because all the hard stuff's there, or the
Yeah.
expensive hardware is all in
Yeah.
place. It's just a matter of getting it operational.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich? I don't have anything else. Rich?
No, back in the day, you used to have streetlights or dusk to dawn lights, I forget what the official thing, it was just a cost on your electric bill. And it was, you got away without doing parking lot lights. It's much more expensive, actually, but yeah, I mean, actually, I think we still have, Hamilton Square still has one, right by the recycling dumpsters, because we don't have a parking lot light there. Mark, if you would, you're indicating a reduction in impervious.
Yeah.
Could you just, for everybody's benefit, show where those reductions would be?
A good bit of it, most of it was right in this area, because on the original existing conditions, there was parking, because the old warehouse was back to here, so this was all parking lot.
Right.
And pavement here, so it was back along in this area here, and also, there was some just extra pavement here that we're cutting out that, isn't needed, so.
Nice.
We decided to cut
And so it would be replaced with topsoil,
Yeah.
grass, and,
Yes.
okay, great. That's the only question I had.
Yeah, okay. Susan?
No, my question was about the impervious and the reduction in the impervious. I do have one other general question. What kind of company is Seaway and Company? I couldn't find that on the internet. It's a trucking company.
No,
I
they're actually.
heard you say
They're the
air
property
conditioning.
owner. They're
Okay.
the property owner. Pierce Phelps is who occupies the building.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
and they have air conditioning equipment.
Yeah, they
Okay.
distribute air conditioning units and equipment.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, Tracy?
Rich asked my questions.
Okay. All right, so there is proposed action. Are we adding the condition? You want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, give me a second here. All right, I move the council approve the 320 Struble Road Building Addition Final Land Development Plan dated December 18th, 2023, and last revised January 8th, 2024, subject to the following 6 conditions. Within 90 days from the date of approval by council, all conditions must be satisfied, final signatures must be obtained, and the plan must be recorded with the Center County Recorder of Deeds Office. Failure to meet the 90-day recordation time requirement will render the plan null and void. 2, pay all outstanding review fees. 3, address to the satisfaction of the township engineer any outstanding plan review comments from the staff. Fully comply with College Township Code 180-12. And 5, all conditions must be accepted in writing within 7 days from the date of conditional approval letter from the township engineer. I suppose if staff's in agreement with my suggestion, this light could fall under number 3, but I'll call it out specifically. Resolve the street light issue as discussed here in our council meeting, to the satisfaction of staff, and we trust staff understands what we want. Does that work for you, Mark?
Yeah.
Adam?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Do we have any opposed? Okay, none opposed. Motion passes.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Thanks, Mark. All right, P2, Mountain Indian Elementary School Sketch Plan. That's at 240 Villa Crest Drive, State College, tax parcel 19-006-007. Lindsay.
All right, thank you. We have 2 representatives here, one from the school district and one from ELA, who will be reviewing this plan with you. This is a narrative, and plan sheets have been provided. The Planning Commission has not seen this yet. This is a sketch plan that has come to council first. And I'll turn it over to Todd. He can talk about this 26,000 square foot addition to Mount Nittany Elementary School.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. My name's Todd Smith. I'm with ELA Group. With me is Mike Fisher. He is the Director of Physical Plant for State College School District. We're working on developing land development plans for an addition to Mount Nittany Elementary School. This is the full site. It houses Mount Nittany Middle School, Mount Nittany Elementary School, and the school district administrative offices in the former Panorama Elementary School. The main access for the property is off of Brandywine Drive. The buses circulate around the back. They come around a loop for the elementary school, and then they come around the back of the middle school for the middle school. The parents, I have to point.
That's good.
There's a purple one. that-
He's going mobile.
There's a purple one.
The parents come in, this access, it's a one-way in and a one-way out. And they drop off at the middle school, at this location. And right now, they come around and they drop off at the elementary school along here. And the main entrance is at this location. And if you go to the total acre of the site is a little over 52 acres. There are existing practice fields,
Sorry.
existing practice fields and 2 softball fields. And then there's an area down here, the existing playground, and there's some other playgrounds for the elementary school as well. Go to the next slide.
Okay.
This is an enlarged view of basically just our project area. Again, the main access for parents will be coming in this location. And what we're going to be doing, the addition is off the back here. It's still being looked at and developed. This is 26,000 square feet right now. It may shift a little bit, move a little bit, and we'll adjust all of our numbers when we do that. When the architect finalizes that. We're developing this loop coming around. And what this will be for is a parent drop-off. We'll have a secondary entrance at this location, and we'll still maintain this location as well. And then the service area is back here. We're adding 45 spaces, 44 parking spaces along here. We're shifting the fields over, and this softball field needs to rotate a little bit, and this one will stay where it is. Stormwater, this is an existing basin now. We're going to continue to use that as we can, and we're going to develop this area down here as a shallow stormwater basin so that they can still use it for practice field. And that's also this, we're going to be, right now this is an open field. We are going to just rehabilitate it, strip it, and put sod in, and use that, and do this first, because when they start construction, they'll be using this as a laydown area. Sidewalks, there are existing sidewalks throughout the site. We will have one coming down Loop, and we're making other connections internally back in this area and go over to the playground and maintaining everything else that's there. So,
Todd, can you point out where Panorama is right now? I think it's up here in the corner,
yeah,
right? Yep.
this is
Okay.
Panorama. Now, this is the parking lot for Panorama,
Okay, thanks.
and this is the baseball field up in the corner.
Staff, anything else to add?
Is there anything on the next page? No, that's all.
Okay. Council, questions and comments? Rich?
No, I mean, I think it's been identified as a clear need. I followed the flow and everything. The one question I would have, in years past, we've had the residents of Villa Crest come and express concerns about traffic through their development because of the school, when the school first went in up there, and as well as the baseball stadium and everything. I trust that because you're indicating off of Brandywine that you feel that will incur the majority of the traffic as a result from the expansion.
Over the years, since the new elementary school has been constructed, and Panorama is now the administrative offices, there is more dominance on the Brandywine Drive access points than the Villa Crest Drive access. And we want to continue to promote that and not have traffic on Villa Crest as much as we can deter.
Yeah, at one point, one of the primary issues was the utilization of Villa Crest by buses. And again, I think because of where Panorama was actually located and positioned, Villa Crest was very much a direct shot. And I'm going to go out on a limb and make an assumption because I don't know the answer to this, but I believe that the bus traffic has, since the development of the Mount Nittany Elementary School, has decidedly shifted to a focus in utilizing Brandywine.
Correct.
Okay.
I just want to note in response to your question is that our office also gets complaints from neighbors about cars backing out down Brandywine, picking up their children. So we feel as though this loop that we're adding will actually add more staging ground to alleviate some of that congestion that people see down along Brandywine.
Nice. I was gonna say, that was my next, yeah, because it can get, Brandywine can get pretty congested and everything. So, but yeah, so those are my real concerns. You're adding 26,000 square feet equals students, equals parents, equals traffic.
Yeah, the main reason for the addition is the current school is at capacity.
Right.
They're not redistricting or changing lines. But I think through the years, the development that's occurred in the area, there's Kaywood and more development, Rocky Ridge is more development, Spring up in behind Bullsburg, there's been more development. I think just the natural growth has occurred and brought more students here, and that's why they're at capacity where they're located now.
Right, I agree that I think the need is there. It's the secondary effects of filling the need that we have to be cognizant of. And you know, it's, growth has some pains at times, but as long as we're being conscientious in how it's approaching, I think the Brandywine primary is a key to that. And it might not hurt that, didn't we actually finally get a road done?
That's what I was going to ask.
So that's all
Is
I have.
Brandywine complete and turned over to the township?
Yes, it is.
It is.
The speed bump thing or something like that?
Well, I'll let Dawn discuss on the final plans that were approved, there are two speed humps that were provided for. Dawn can speak to that in a moment. I just want to caution everybody, if anybody has tried to utilize Brandywine, even though it is now a township road, it's been turned over to the township, we have a contractor issue at the moment in terms of the condition of the road and the street and where people have placed things, and they have been put on notice because it's basically impassable at this particular point. And that is not in accordance with anything that the township allows. And the developer has been made well aware of the responsibilities there to take care of that. That's a current condition. That will change. That will be addressed. But if anybody decides to go out over the next day or two and drive it, you might be in for a rude awakening. So I just wanted to warn you about that. But that's being addressed. In terms of the speed humps on Brandywine, Dawn?
Well, yeah, as you pointed out, the approved plans showed two speed humps, which were actually a rubberized material. One was put down, and as it was being put down, we noted that the manufacturer's cut sheets for it said, don't put it down on a road that's going to have snow plowing. And so that was removed. There is still plans in the spring. Probably we will end up with a Watts-style speed hump. Although I would like to point out is that we have had speed data information being gathered, and the speeds are under the speed limit, the 85th percentile speed. So people are not racing through there yet. So we haven't seen it as an issue. But in the spring, I think we'll have maybe at least one of the same type speed humps as we have on Oak Ridge and Shamrock.
I was gonna say, we have a little experience on speed humps.
And they certainly have worked on those two streets.
Yes. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Susan?
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I live in Fieldstone, so I live right across the street. I can see the middle school from my front door. So I have some questions about the pedestrians that walk to the school. I was looking at the plan, and I see that along the east side of the drive that you've added for the parent drop-off. So I see a lot of kids and families walking along the south side of the sidewalk on the south side of the middle school parking lot. And so they would be crossing across there to get to the main entrance of the school, crossing across this new access area. And, you know, I'm not a designer, but I'm wondering about something like a sidewalk on the east side of that access drive to allow them to flow into the building at the new site or something like that, because there really is quite a bit of pedestrian, the students walk, and there'll be more.
Coming down here.
Yes,
coming down
exactly.
here. Okay. Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up. We do have crosswalks.
Yeah.
Located here, crosswalk at that door.
I saw that, yeah.
and crosswalk at this door. So rather than crossing this, bringing them down at a main crosswalk would be a better idea.
And then another, your crosswalk comment is important. The crosswalk on Brandywine from Fieldstone now is a very busy crosswalk. There are no crossing guards. There's bus traffic there, and there's an increase in traffic, and there will be, 26,000 feet. I wondered maybe the school, how many students are projected to come to the school over the next 5 years?
First of all, so this is going to go we will not fill it immediately.
Mhm, sure.
We have capacity issues at other schools within this, not any middles kind of realm. But we envision somewhere around 100.
Okay.
I talked to the principal the other day, and that's a number he threw out, so in that vicinity.
And some of them will come by bus, some of them will come by car, so it won't be 100 new cars every day dropping off. Right, that makes sense. It is, I've been thinking about this plan a lot while I've been driving. And then, of course, with Brandywine and Open Road now, and there is a fair bit of cut-through traffic on Villa Crest, and I have to admit, sometimes it's me. So I'm being more mindful of that, looking at this and recognizing that. So I think there are some, there's always some unanticipated consequences, and certainly as a resident close by, it is those walking students that I'm concerned for. So safety around those crosswalks from Fieldstone, and then safety around the crosswalks into the building along that south side sidewalk from the middle school.
There is also a sidewalk north of the large parking lot that you can access and then come straight down into the front of the
Right.
as well.
Naturally though, they walk to the closest point to the building, and that's that south sidewalk. I hardly ever see anyone on the north sidewalk.
Put the sidewalk in on the goat path. Yes.
Honestly, it's the exact same distance. It's not any different. It's not as though that's a diagonal cut across in a straight. I get you, but it's the psychology of how people walk places. And there are people who cut across Brandywine that don't go through the crosswalk. So
I see, I go.
Huh?
I see, I go.
There's a lot of that. So I appreciate you hearing those comments tonight and incorporating those as you go from sketch plan to final plan. Thank you.
Okay. Tracy?
Yes, I had a question earlier. You said that right now it's at 26,000 square feet, and there's a potential that it can grow. If it does, how does that shift the plans, or is there a count for that additional square footage you may run into?
Yeah, I mean, when I said it can fluctuate, the architects are working with the school district on the internal program and the educational aspects of the internal space. And if it does grow, it's not going to affect this layout over here. It will grow internally back in this area. And I don't suspect, they've worked with the school district for quite a while now, and I think they're really, really close to having a final internal layout and then a footprint for us to really nail down. Our goal is to come make a submission March 18th for the township, and that'll give us to the April Planning Commission meeting. And then hopefully June, we would come to council, and the school district wants to start or go out to bid toward the end of summer, and then start construction, I think in the fall or the following spring.
Thank
We
you.
don't anticipate any, if there are changes, it's very, very minor.
Okay.
This has been vetted by our PTO groups, our teachers, our administrators, public, and our board has accepted basically the internal programming or the footprint of the current edition. So if it does change, it'll be very, very minor.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Eric?
Yeah, Todd, oh, by the way, thanks for going through the extra step of the sketch plan, because like what you heard from Susan is that's the benefit of doing the sketch plan
It is very
process
much.
first. So appreciate that. The dark gray area to the right, in between the fields, yeah, is that all that asphalt? The school buses don't travel that at all. That's just for the minivan drop-offs?
If you want to go to the next sheet, no, school buses don't travel this, but I did turning movements for it so that we knew buses and trucks could go through it.
Okay.
Because you're going to have a field trip. And you're going to have a bus come down, and they're going to pick up kids. This is a 40-foot school bus. It's an 84-passenger bus. It's a larger bus than normal. And it can come around and make that maneuver to pick up. This is a city bus. Suppose a visiting team comes in a coach bus. They can come around and make that maneuver. And then the trash, refuge truck, he can come down, back out, and go. And then they do get Gallagher truck milks, or milk trucks. And this is a WB-40. It's a 32-foot trailer. It's a total of a 45-and-a-half-foot truck. And he can make the maneuver all the way around, but as he comes in, he'll come around, he can back in. This is going to be the service access point. And so he'll stage, and then he'll be able to go out. So I put together these to show that it's designed to accommodate the vehicles that could go there. Some will, and some could.
Appreciate that, Todd. So it is, school buses won't be using it.
No, it's not meant.
Yeah. It actually makes me feel much better, because I'm thinking, doing all that work, moving fields and all that, just to accommodate the onslaught of minivan drop off. This is coming from the curmudgeon who walked a mile through Park Forest to the junior high and elementary school as a kid growing up, and rode the actual school bus to the high school every day.
In the snow.
Yeah, I didn't have the parent minivan thing. So it makes me feel better that he had to do all that work anyways for something other than the minivans.
Yeah, like I say, right now, the buses come around, they come around the back, and this is the bus loop now for the elementary school. And then the buses for the middle school are up in the top staging area.
And then, because the other question I had was, the opening of Brandywine may have taken some of the pressure off Villacrest, but if I understand Adam's comment, it probably hasn't, because right now, the buses wouldn't be able to get through Brandywine if they were using it. So anything coming from coming from a certain area is not going to be benefit routing-wise by using the other end of Brandywine versus Villacrest.
Yeah, and I don't know if the school district has looked at how the traffic patterns could change now that Villacrest is open. I don't
Brandywine.
I don't imagine it's going to change, but I think the school district has the opportunity to look at that. I think.
But at least it gives us an option, should things get untenable in at least a request.
Sure.
In Panorama Village. Of course, there's always the gate, but we went down that road before, so we'll leave that out of tonight's discussion. No, that's it.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. Mine was on timing, and so you answered that. And if no one else has anything else to add?
Just real,
Oh.
I'm sorry, please.
I had just one more comment,
Okay.
coming back to Brandywine. So the other thing that I could think of, and this would be more for Don, is that there will be more traffic on Brandywine, people coming from that neighborhood down Brandywine to get to Warner to get out to the bypass, because that'll be the goat path. So that will increase the traffic on Brandywine during that same period that the kids will be coming to school, because people will be going to work. So there'll be more traffic going the other way too, going down Brandywine. Something to think about.
Once they can get through the road.
They're getting through now.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
They
not
can.
like
It's a
it's
little rocky. It's a
closed,
little
it's
clunky.
just dumpsters and
Mud and.
roof
and-
joists are getting piled on the road. The zoning officer and the assistant engineer are all over this, and I can imagine tomorrow morning they will be back out to start putting the hammer down.
There's piles and pallets in that center, the roundabout.
I just had one other quick question. Could you go through the stormwater again? I mean, I'm not gonna bother asking about total impervious, because obviously there's a lot to work with here, but I was just a little confused. Or the existing ball field that's staying in the current alignment, is that still going to function at all as stormwater?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it will. Right now it is. This whole thing is a storm
Okay.
basin. It is graded such that this actually comes down this way, and then there's a low point in through here.
Got it.
So it's not inundated with water all the time, or it's not at the flat bottom of the basin. So this will continue to function. We are shifting these, and it will impact the grading and the configuration of it, but we're going to maintain it as much as we can in the configuration that it is. And then
That's the supplemental
Yeah.
shallow.
yeah, and then this basin, right now, there are several discharges that are coming off of both the existing elementary school and the administrative building. There's a discharge there, there's a discharge here, there's one here, there's one there, and there's one there. But this stormwater is already coming down here. So we're gonna continue to have that come down. We're gonna formalize something as a shallow basin to still be able to use it for a practice field, which they do now, but to have it be a stormwater facility as well.
That's still the middle school football practice field? I mean, it used to be.
Yeah, not so much down here, it's more along the soccer fields. Up
Okay.
above is where kind of they practice in, and that we call the loop field.
Okay. Great, thanks.
Any other council questions, comments? Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we'll move on to reports. The manager's report, or manager's update.
Yes, a couple of quick items here. Dale Summit Small Area Plan, the first iteration of the DPC form-based code has been let to both members of council as well as to members of planning commission. You should have received a notification earlier this week. It appears that our next joint meeting will in fact be March 26th. And at that point, we will have DPZ, our consultants that have worked with us on form-based code, will be in attendance along with planning. It's a joint meeting with Planning Commission Council. The public will actually be invited, and you'll see in an upcoming issue, probably next week, of the Gazette, you'll see a blurb, if you will, as part of a larger College Township ad that talks about the meeting. Now, again, the joint meeting is really a workshop meeting. It's not intended for there to be a lot of interaction with folks that might come to and sit in the audience to listen. It ultimately is the chair's decision about who speaks, if they speak at all, but primarily it is the kickoff and the introduction of the work that's going to be done by both the Planning Commission and Council on a new zoning code. And so we thought it was important to be sure that folks that had an interest in the area knew that it was going on, that this is really the ground floor meeting if people wanted to get in on that, and to observe from the very start what this process will ultimately become. So that's just a quick iteration of what's going on, what's cooking with Dale Summit. Solar power purchase agreement. There's been activity there. There are contracts that we have been long awaiting, seem to have been finalized by the providers. Those have now been distributed to the various potential participants in the solar power purchasing agreement. You should expect as council to begin having presentations and input and feedback on that whole process beginning at our next meeting in February. So on February 15th, you'll be seeing that come before you. Other than that, I do not have any additional comments to make, but if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Questions, comments for the manager?
Just one on the solar power purchasing. So we invested a lot in specialty counsel to review these contracts and everything. Are we going to get any kind of output from that council with regard to this?
I do not know that.
Okay. I just know that'd be a heavy ask of our solicitor.
It would be. I also know that the county solicitor, who also happens to be the solicitor for both Ferguson and Patton as well, is presently reviewing the document. There are some questions. I believe, I'm not going to do this justice, but to paraphrase, there are some questions about keeping the cohesiveness of the group and what that means relative to the long-term contract that is in play. A lot of the legal work that has been done was, and again, paraphrasing here, was related to the coordination between the provider and, for want of a better term, the operator or the distributor of the power. So I honestly don't know at this juncture how much work has been done relative to the potential municipal issues that may be in play. Sorry,
No, it would be good to work as a region on it. This is a big thing. We're attacking it collaboratively, regionally. And so if it is beneficial that the one solicitor, the work that they do for several, we might have the opportunity to benefit from that.
But Mr. Bloom will have more of that information for
Great.
you on the 15th.
Very good. Thank you. That's all I had, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Moving on to COG Regional County and Liaison Reports. We did have a couple COG meetings. Eric, you did submit a report.
I did.
Anything to add?
Since the Land Use and Community Infrastructure Committee meets on Thursday, we actually met earlier today. Today's February 1st. There's 2 items on the agenda. Neither one of them were action items. First one was an update on the comprehensive plan. This is the comp plan. It's been, 10 or 11 years since it's been updated. The discussion revolved mostly around changing the format to a leaner, broader-based document that we thought would be more usable. It is interesting, when I look back at the old plan, there was only 4 of the 32 elected officials around in 11 years ago, and only one Center Region Planning Agency staff member. So it really doesn't matter what format we use. It was going to be new to majority of the people anyways. The second item was just a discussion on the recently released roadmap for the university's future, Penn State released. It appeared to be just an opportunity for some of the committee members to vent some frustration and dump a little bit on Penn State. I was probably in the minority in that, speaking for myself personally, not College Township, I don't have any problem with Penn State expanding enrollment. You know, people want to come to University Park, we're College Town. A lot of committee members tended to focus on the infrastructure burden, potential infrastructure burden that it will create, and again, we're College Town. Students are our industry. But anyways, that was just my view, and I think we should welcome the opportunity that Penn State is recognizing that people like to come to University Park. If you read the roadmap, you saw that enrollment at the Commonwealth campuses has like just dropped. I mean, in some places by 50%. Yet they still have more applications than they can accommodate here, so they're pivoting. I think it's good. We'll see.
Okay. Questions for Eric?
World Campus is a big influence on that as well.
Yeah, good point. Questions?
Yeah, that's a good point, and that we touched on that a little bit. If you're going to go to a Commonwealth campus, World Campus presents an option to not go to University Park.
Well, actually, I had a conversation today. You come to university, you live in State College and do World Campus, you got all the best of the social elements of college and as well.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Rich, you had Parks and Rec governance?
I did. We reviewed our previous work. We got several new members. Each member, we elected our officers. Some guy got the chair. And we went around and talked about our expectations of what we hope to accomplish this year. And it sounded like we had a good initial consensus on how it is. I think we're going to find good movement on the if you recall, there's, we did the matrix and we said what, who should do what and all that. And now we're going to develop the structure of how those groups do that. I think we're going to move through the next, I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're going to move through the next couple steps a little faster than the first step. An interesting thing that came up as a big discussion was there are some members that wish to axe Parks Capital yesterday, but there are also some members that want to make sure that, make sure that the duties of have a misunderstanding what the duties of the Parks Capital Committee are, but then want to make sure that those are captured in the appropriate other bodies. Facilities was thrown out, finance was thrown out a lot for that, and the clearer method of the authority would make sense, and more agreements, individual agreements with the municipalities, so there's an understanding of what each party is supposed to be doing and everything. One thing that we just started touching on was that not all municipalities do the same stuff, and yet they're charged per capita pretty much the same. And so standardizing that so one municipality isn't subsidizing other municipalities for the work of the Parks Agency is an element that we'll definitely be discussing.
Questions for Rich? Comments?
I would just offer also that the COG Finance Committee is going to have its first official work session tomorrow, Finance 101. We're going to be looking at the timeline and guideline, understanding the method of the madness of those two to start, and then just in general touching on the 11 different formulas and all that good kind of stuff. So.
Good.
And that will be recorded, so that will be available, to whomever.
Okay, yeah, and of course, you all know we had a general forum meeting, which I think, one of the bigger items out of that was the approval for these, I'll just call it search committee for the executive director, which we have as a new business item to appoint our member of that. Anything else before we move on to the next item? All right, staff PC and other committee reports. Matt, did you have anything for PC?
Now, just the way the calendar falls, we haven't met since the last meeting, so we don't have any report or anything.
Okay. No good jokes or stories?
No, I didn't. I'm working.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Anything else? Staff? Okay. All right, DEIB. What do we have for DEIB tonight?
I have a report.
All right.
Mike and I attended the DEIB workshop last night, the Center Region Anti-Bias Coalition Workshop. Mike attended that last May with Carla, so it was the first of 4 workshops that the coalition will be offering, and there was a representative from the Community and Campus and Unity group, and so not all of the municipalities were there, but most were there. And we had really good discussions. Mike had made the point that it was very well done last year, and I think the same could be said this year. We broke out into groups, and we used something called the Johari window. It was a square, a quadrated square that looks at, different levels of awareness, municipality awareness, constituency awareness, and, we looked at different things. Mike and I had some thoughts about some areas for our municipality. We put some thoughts down on paper. We'll be getting a written report from the group, and we can share that back with council and staff if you wish. And there'll be another workshop in May of 2024, and Half Moon Township will be hosting, and Mike and I plan to go to that as well. So if there's any ideas that you'd like us to bring back, please let me or Mike know.
Okay, thanks, Susan.
This is the start of Black History Month in
Yes.
February. And I believe on the 15th, we will have our proclamation set and ready to go. I think we're just firming up and making sure that we have some of the proper language that in terms of the theme that is being espoused this year. We got some conflicting information. That's why it's not on your agenda tonight. So we're trying to clean that up. But we will have that in February, or on the 15th.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All right, then we will move on to tonight's consent agenda. All right, CA1 is the minutes approval of our January 18th regular meeting, the January 24th joint meeting. CA2 is receipt and approval of the correspondence. Letter A is email from Daniel Materna dated January 27th regarding the casino, and B is an email from Susan Strauss dated January 29th regarding the casino. CA3 is an action item, approval of the appointment of John Peterson to the CT Industrial Development Authority for a 5-year term. Do any members of council wish to pull any of these items?
I just have a correction to the minutes.
Yeah.
Just one? Is it?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Just the minutes from the 18th. Anthony was not present at that meeting, but Tracy was.
Oh, okay. I'm
And,
sorry.
yeah, I think it was just a templated, the list of attendees. And that was exactly the same thing for the joint meeting. And that
Okay,
was
so
it.
both?
Yeah, because the minutes reflected Tracy's comments and
Yeah. There was
Okay.
one other correction that Dustin made that we.
Right, for the report, Parks Capital was myself and not Rich.
Gosh, yeah.
That was January 18th. We don't have to pull those, we can just note
No.
that with the corrections. Anyone else? Anything else? Okay. All right, so,
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
second.
with
With the correction
with corrections
to the minutes.
With the corrections to the minutes.
All right, do we have a second for that?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, moving on. There are no old business items tonight, so we move on to new business, and new business number one, the only new business is the COG Executive Director Recruitment and Search Committee discussion, and we would have an appointment of our member, Adam. Do you want to go ahead and lead this out?
I have somewhat limited information on this, but I was advised that the other Center Region municipalities have identified their representatives to the committee, to the selection committee. And those consist of, at the moment, there are 2 elected officials and 3 managers. And I know that the staff at COG is eagerly awaiting our appointment. I anticipate that they will be trying to schedule at least some initial meetings as soon as possible once all of the appointments have been made to the selection committee. So that's really, at this point, council should have some discussion and make some decisions about whom should in fact be the township representative for College to the selection committee. As was discussed at the COG General Forum meeting, the selection committee has basically been empowered to take the entire executive search process from beginning through end in terms of setting what parameters will be followed. That could include a decision to work with a search firm. That could include how ads are drafted, where they're placed, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of detailed work, especially at the beginning of this process, that I would anticipate that the committee will be involved in.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions to that, or things to add? All right, I'll lead this one out. I'll put myself out there. I mean, I'd be willing to serve on the committee. Is there anyone else wishing to?
Well, my only concern for the committee is that there is enough diversity represented on the committee, and not just like black or white, but female to male identifiers. So that's my only concern on the committee, so that we have it equity, that there's not an equity issue. So.
Yeah, that's a good concern.
Well, how would we address that then, if any action we took tonight?
I don't know if it's confirmed.
I can tell you what I've been made aware of. Century Martin, the manager in Ferguson Township, is on the committee, as is Tom Fontaine, manager from State College Borough, as is Mark Bokel, manager in Harris Township. As far as elected officials, Betsy Whitman from Patton Township and Dave Piper from Half Moon Township have been indicated that those are the appointees by those respective bodies.
So we're last.
And we're last.
Okay. All right.
Usually we're first, so.
Yeah. This is probably a good one not to lead out on.
Yeah.
So at the moment, what you have is you have 3 males, 2 females. The only other thing that I'll mention is I do know that Patton appointed an alternate. The alternate is their manager. So Betsy Whitman should not be able to attend a particular meeting. Amy Farkas, as their manager, would attend as an alternate situation.
Is that something we're wishing to do too, as a consideration tonight? Point of alternate?
I would.
Yeah. Thoughts? Who wants to add anything? Eric?
If you're willing to do it, I certainly support you.
Rich?
Agreed, thank you.
Susan?
Agree.
Tracy, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Excellent.
Would you like to serve as the backup?
No, thank you.
Okay. Just putting that out there, because otherwise we're going to make Adam do it.
I don't know, no.
Oh, you don't, you'd be surprised what common sense will
Adam
take.
doesn't get a choice.
Common sense
He's gonna
has
be
value.
appointed as alternate.
And we would support you. We would support you if you decided to be the alternate.
Yeah.
So if that's something that you feel,
Well, I would feel more comfortable if there was another female energy as a backup, yeah.
Okay.
Just for diversity's sake.
So is that a yes?
That's a yes.
Okay, because it was either you or Susan. so-
I was gonna say, narrowing the scope.
That'd be great.
I
That's
support that.
great.
Yeah,
That's great. That's excellent.
and we will back you up.
yep.
Yeah. So we'll back you up with what's an alternate to the alternate?
I'll be the alternate to the alternate.
There you go.
Okay.
I'll take that.
And I can.
Alternate to the
Tracy
alternate
as
to the
well. I
alternate.
mean, anything that you need.
You
on
are so
that,
alternate. You're
I'll do my
on-
best to help you
You're
out.
back.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, excellent. So I think we have consensus, so we need a motion on the primary and the alternate, right? Anyone cares to
Make
make
it
that?
formal.
Mr. Chair, move to appoint Dustin Best as the primary and Tracy Mariner as the alternate to the COG Executive Director Search Committee.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Recruitment search committee.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Do we have any opposed? Thank you. We have none opposed. Motion carries. All right, moving on to, is there any staff informatives?
None.
Okay.
There were staff, oh, I was gonna say, there are
Well,
staff.
no, none to discuss.
All right. None to discuss. Council, staff, other matters that anyone wishes to add? We are past the 8 o'clock hour, just so you know.
There
So
was
I'm not
one
gonna
thing
say
with
Have
the
to
staff
draw this
informative.
one out.
Go ahead.
The staff informative, this usually gets posted, this is for the Center County Municipal Directory. And in the past, we have had your personal phone numbers in here. And we just sort of made the executive decision to take those out and just put it. You guys can give us the word if you want us to give out your cell phone numbers or your home phone numbers. But we thought here we would just keep it generic and they can call us and then you can give us the okay to give out your numbers.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that. Thank
Your
you.
individual email addresses are on there.
They aren't on here, but they're very accessible,
Right.
so they can contact you by your email address.
Yeah. No, thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
that was a
We've
great
just always
decision.
done that. Just-
Well, I just want mine to be your phone number. If you're giving us a choice.
Handle.
I'll check.
Okay, all right. Anything else? We have one more item.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we are adjourned.
Tracy, again.